All right, guys, today we are going to talk about the destruction of the Amazon rainforest. Okay, just another one of the environmental issues that is facing Latin America. So let's look at our standard really quick. And it says, remember, it's explaining the impact of environmental issues in Latin America. Today, we're going to talk about being able to explain the environmental issue of destruction of the rainforest in Brazil. So we're going to look at how does destroying the Amazon rainforest impact the country as a whole. Okay. All right. So basically, guys, the Amazon rainforest is the largest rainforest left in the world today. Okay. It's located in Brazil and it takes up a huge portion of Brazil. This rainforest is actually home to many different varieties of plants, trees, insects, birds, animals. And from these plants, a lot of these rainforest plants actually help to treat many different types of cancers, and they actually create help to go into over 100 different types of prescription drugs. So the rainforest is very important home to many different animals and such, but it also provides us with much needed medical care. Okay, so you can see the rainforest right here. It's outlined in yellow, so you can see it's a huge portion of the northern part of South America. Okay, so on top of being a home to vast varieties of insects and animals and plants and things, you can also find lots of different types of foods in the Amazon: sugarcane, coffees, avocados, bananas. And those are just a few. Okay. Because it has such lush vegetation, lots of trees and things like that, we actually call this the lungs of the earth because it takes out a lot of the carbon dioxide from the air and replaces it with good oxygen. So not only does it provide habitats for animals and things, it provides many different types of foods that people eat, but it also helps our bodies being able to breathe. Okay. Just a picture showing you some of the food that you can find. Okay. Throughout the Amazon rainforest, you had lots of native Amazonians. Today, there are about 305 indigenous groups. The Amazon is their home. This is where they live, they hunt, they fish, they farm, but they don't leave a huge mark on the rainforest because they move around a lot. So, meaning if they're in a spot and they start seeing that, they're using up a lot of the resources, they will move to another area to let those resources replenish, which is not a bad thing. That's how you kind of should do it. And up until the 1960s, these indigenous people were truly the only inhabitants of the Amazon rainforest. Once the 60s roll around, this is when you start seeing lots of issues coming about that lead to lots of environmental problems. Okay. Basically, guys, in the 60s, to get through the jungle or the Amazon rainforest, it was very difficult. And so they wanted to be able to try to connect several different areas. So they built this road. And basically, what happened is they realized that in the Amazon rainforest, there were lots of very vital trees. These trees could be used for different things, but lumber was a big thing. So this highway actually opened up being able to bring a lot of people into the Amazon rainforest. When it did this, it allowed people to say, well, you know what? There's a lot of unused land here. We've opened it up using this road. Let's go ahead and start building farms and ranches, and we'll bring in cattle and things like that. Well, it was fine for these people uh, who were just moving in, but it definitely took a lot of activities and things like that away from the Amazonians who already lived there. It was very much infringing upon their daily lives. Okay. So this is the Trans-Amazonian Highway, and it's connecting Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador. Okay. And you can see just from that road all the land that is being cleared. So you kind of stop and think, well, you know, countries want to gain money, they want to become wealthy. And they realized, Brazil's government realized that there were a lot of resources in the Amazon rainforest that they could use to gain that wealth for the country. So one of those things was being able to allow their citizens to farm, being giving them the ability to cut down trees, raising crops, raising cattle, logging, mining, and building new settlements, bringing in more people to live in the Amazon rainforest. The sad part was, I don't think they truly stopped to think about how that could impact the rainforest itself. Okay. Here you have a large soy plantation built in the middle of the rainforest. A lot of people use soy. So if you're finding, vast areas of land that you can plant it, obviously you're going to make some pretty good money off of it. One of the biggest reasons why they started cutting down the rainforest was to be able to farm. They used what was called the slash and burn method. Basically, what they did is they would go in, they would slash down or cut down the big trees and things like that, and then they would burn the rest. Now, this was fine if you were doing it in small portions, but they were not. Slash and burn farming actually leads to a lot of soil erosion. The soil erodes away, good nutrients go with it, and so once that area gets depleted of its nutrients, instead of allowing the nutrients to come back naturally, they just leave that area and go create a new area. So that means that we are destroying more and more of the Amazon rainforest. Okay. Basically, it's just a huge cycle of destruction. If you look at this picture, you can see here's areas that have not been cut down, but look at all this vast area where you can see the tan color. This is where they're no longer using that land because it has no nutrients. One of the biggest things that they started realizing was that, hey, we can also use this newfound land to raise cattle. There was a huge demand for beef. Okay. If you can provide beef, then you are going to make a lot of money. This led to a lot more deforestation, meaning that they were destroying the forest. Cattle farming was actually, or cattle ranching, was actually responsible for over 70% of the deforestation in this region. Okay. They wanted the cattle to be able to have fields to where they could graze, and so they just slashed and burned and cut it all down. Now, was cattle ranching a good thing for the country? Yes. All of this, the beef that was being sold actually brought a lot of money to Brazil's economy. So this right here was a double-edged sword. Do we continue to cut down the rainforest, which offers a lot of problems in itself, so we can continue to make money for our country? What do we do? Okay. They also wanted to use the Amazon River to create dams. These dams are what end up helping to create hydroelectricity. Again, hydroelectricity is not a bad thing. It's a great, clean source of energy. The only thing was the areas that they were choosing to do this caused significant flooding. You kind of think, well, flooding, it's not bad until you start looking at the fact of how many habitats the flooding destroys. You got to remember, there's lots of animals living here. There's lots of plants that we use for different things, both in making medicines or using as food sources. And these dams are causing a lot of flooding that absolutely destroy all of that. Okay. Here's one of the biggest dams, and you can see just how much flooding is caused. Another thing was mining. This is a great area an area of great mineral deposits: copper, gold, iron ore. Now, All of those things are great when you're trying to make money, but is making the money worth the risk of destroying the Amazon rainforest? So, over the last 20 years, deforestation due to mining has become increasingly worse. Basically, what they would do is they would come into certain areas and they would just dig these huge pits in the earth. Again, great that you can make money, but you also have to look at what it's destroying in the process, all the habitats, all the amount of plants, the helpful plants that are being destroyed. Not to mention the fact that for local people, this was creating a huge health issue because all this mining was stirring up a lot of mercury. And when mercury gets into your groundwaters, it poisons it. So not only does it poison your people, but it's going to poison your animals as well, which again breaks down and brings in a lot of destruction to the rainforest. Most of this mining is done illegally. People just come in and do it on their own, but you can see the amount of destruction it leaves behind. Logging. Okay, think about it. The world needs furniture. There's a specific type of timber that is found in the Amazon rainforest called teak, Teak. It is a huge, profitable wood that is used in furniture. And because lots of people want this type of furniture, there was a huge push to start logging in the Amazon rainforest. Okay. Again, it's great that you can make a lot of money for your country, but is this logging worth losing your habitats for your animals and plants, uh, eroding of the soil, and ultimately just the breaking down of the rainforest itself? So basically, guys, those are reasons why the Amazon rainforest uh, is being destroyed. So, what are the effects? Okay, well, the destruction is causing a huge problem. First off, you're looking at, on average, 17 million acres of rainforest is being destroyed each year. If we keep that up, this rainforest will no longer be an actual rainforest. Okay, you have got to look at the amount of plants and animals that have lost their habitats. It has caused a lot of these plants and animals to not only become endangered, but they're also extinct. They will not come back. And a lot of these things are very important and very vital to not only the success of the area in Brazil and the fact that the Amazon rainforest can continue to grow, but we've already seen that it also produces a lot of things that people need to continue to grow. Okay, this right here is a satellite image. You can see just how much of the rainforest has been destroyed. Okay, it may not seem like a lot, but on the big scale of things, that is a horrible amount of the rainforest that has been deforested, that deforestation has uh, caused issues. Also, if you'll remember, we said that the Amazon rainforest was called the lungs of the earth because all the trees that are being cut down for logging, mining, cattle ranching, um, carbon dioxide is not being taken out of the air like it once was. This is also going to uh, contribute to a little bit of a climate change because now you have all of these toxic gases that are staying in the atmosphere. Okay. You can't convert the carbon dioxide into oxygen. So, therefore, it traps all of that heat here on Earth, which speeds up global warming. Global warming is something that we don't need to really mess with because it messes with other ecosystems as well. So, how is the government trying to fix this issue? Because obviously, in the last few years, people have started to push to protect the rainforest. So basically, once they started realizing, hey, we can make lots of money off the rainforest, they didn't stop to think about those long term consequences. So basically, you have conservationists or people who are looking to save the rainforest. And they're trying to uh, basically reverse a lot of these damages made. The government is now trying to strike a balance between being able to make money, but also stopping these environmental issues in order to protect the rainforest. One of the things they're doing is they're actually starting to set aside a lot of the areas in the rainforest as protected, meaning that you're not allowed to do anything to that area besides let it be. If they are going to cut down trees, they're also going to have to replace trees, which is a good idea. Go ahead and let those start growing back. And they're also placing stricter punishments for people who are illegally mining or slash and burn farming. Sounds easy, but in 2019, they had these huge fires break out in several different areas, and they figured that these were actually started by humans because they were trying to clear the land for grazing. And so, what better way to do it than just start a wildfire, basically? These fires were very harmful. It actually destroyed tens of thousands of acres every day. So that was definitely not a good thing for sure. So over 100,000 fires were started in 2019. And I think this was probably a direct result of people just trying to stick it to the government and say, you can't stop us. Basically, guys, one of the things the government's trying to work towards is being able to implement stricter laws that involve ranching, farming, logging, and mining in order to protect these areas for sure. Um, Banning the practices hasn't worked. People still do it. Illegal behaviors have become more and more uh, freely used, which in the end is hurting the forest much more. So this is still a work in progress, and probably over your lifetime, we'll see many different changes in trying to help stop the deforestation of the Amazon rainforest.